Hi, my name's Will Arvadeek, and it's my pleasure to give you this overview of how wearing personal real-time dust monitors and dust detectors can be used to minimise exposure to respiratory dust in a workplace setting, hence increasing worker safety. And specifically, I'm talking about how full-time personal monitoring, i.e. devices which are worn every day, all day, can be used to help minimise exposure. Currently, compliance is assessed with gravimetric sampling periodically, typically every year. This type of monitoring is to complement this type of sampling and also to provide a much longer term understanding of dust dynamics than current survey instruments. By this, we can understand variability of processes creating dust, and we can understand dust levels in terms of changing work locations and the work being done. Fundamentally, real-time monitoring is about providing feedback that administrative or engineering controls that are already implemented in a plant are working correctly, and that changes in containment and dust control processes can easily be detected as soon as they should occur. By doing this, we can reduce the dust exposure that an individual is subjected to. First of all, by providing instant alarms to protect the individual so that they can take action as soon as those occur. And secondly, to provide records and protection for all employees, not just those that are assessed occasionally as part of an annual compliance test. For some context in relation to the issue of minimising exposure to respirable dust, one should obviously refer to the health impacts of dust. Occupational lung diseases contribute to about 12,000 deaths in the UK. If one removes the impact of asbestos, you have some 7,000 deaths coming from dusts, fumes or chemicals. And probably the major cause is respirable crystalline silica, which comes when crystalline silica is fractured in minerals and construction industries. But there are other carcinogenic dusts such as welding fume, chemicals, grain and wood. And with these forms of dust, we do have work exposure limits as with all dusts, but there is an implicit requirement to minimise exposure as well. In the UK, HSE's rules were updated in 2020 to minimise RCS, and this is consistent with initiatives in all other parts of the developed world. I'm now going to introduce the DustCanary Trend 420. Its basic functionality is to provide an alarm when there is an increase in dust. As shown in the bottom right-hand screen, the alarm level is pre-configured, and when dust levels increase above that alarm threshold, a warning alarms, which are both visual and audible, are activated. Secondly, this instrument actually monitors and records the dust level in terms of a qualitative figure between 0.001 and 5 milligrams per metre cubed, and this data may be transferred to a PC via a browser application so that the data may be analysed to get a trend of qualitative dust levels over time and also to understand the processes creating dust. So how can DustCanary wearables be used to minimise exposure to respiratory dust? Well, if we consider the hierarchy of controls which is applied for controlling dust and minimising risk in a workplace setting, engineering controls are used to control dust levels. These typically in a workplace would be local exhaust ventilation or some form of containment. The DustCanary is a continuous monitor to ensure and monitor the effectiveness of the engineering controls in reducing dust levels. When and as dust levels change, these are engineering controls. Dust levels do change, equipment does fail, does change in performance. The instruments detect and warn of an increase in respirable dust around the individual, and alarms are activated. Similarly, the DustCanary wearables support the implementation of administrative controls across a work site. In this situation, on a building site, there have been zones defined. Safe zones are those away from dust-creating processes, and the use of a DustCanary can support the safe knowledge that there is no need for respiratory protection, and should that situation change, then alarms will be activated and the individuals can fit their respiratory protection equipment. The DustCanary wearables are supported by application software which provide analytics to help minimise exposure to respirable dust. The wearer has audible and visual alarms which are activated as soon as there are changes in dust levels, which allows instantaneous action. The manager or consultant can view exposure data over time to understand the risk and dynamics of dust levels to inform mitigation plans. As is shown in the graph on the bottom right-hand side, here we have a process which is creating dust peaks, and also there is a shift in dust level. This information is invaluable when planning mitigation plans, in mitigation investments. Thirdly, the organisation has a record of alarm conditions, and also with the DustCanary 420, the dust level over time. These records can be very valuable, especially in processes which are well controlled, in providing evidence that the worker has not been exposed to respirable dust in this particular work setting. Our mission at DustCanary is to provide wearable, compact devices which are convenient to wear every day without impacting worker productivity. These improve the safety in workplaces by warning workers when their respirable dust exposure is changing so that action can be taken immediately. They provide real-time data on dust levels and provide records to help identify problem areas and inform mitigation plans. And finally, they protect organisations with evidence that the investments they have made in terms of controlling dust are providing the continuous safe working conditions for their workforce. Thank you.